Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Magica Record, again, kind of. I'll try to get to the point fast on this one. I did a video before on Magica Record defending it. It got blocked for copyright reasons, but I wasn't too sad about it because my opinion became extremely outdated by then. So I was like, hey, you know, I don't care. But then I'm like, hey, I can make a video about the fact that my opinion has changed on it and really give the update now that it is all finally out. I was defending it middle of season 2 with it. I wasn't expecting the huge, ridiculous fumble that the third season was going to take. A lot of people roasted it from the very start. I think that was kind of unfair. Admittedly, it just never was going to hit the high of the original Madoka. There was a lot to overcome immediately. First, in the fact that you knew everything was going to be trivial in this because of the fact that Madoka is the one who like changed the whole universe and shit. You can't really go higher higher than that, you know? You're going to something lower and you have to make it appealing. So you have to be very good with the characters, which the original show did amazing with its, you know, character writing, even developing characters post-mortem very well. It had the chance of possibly doing it. And I think it had a couple of potentially good moments in it, but it fumbled on its face. There were so many characters, they needed to cut some. And I'll be generally roasting characters in this video or complimenting them. It's going to be a lot less of criticizing the story. There's so many things and it's very complicated. That's just a criticism in itself. The basic witch concept, simple enough. You put all these complicated details to it, it makes it more complicated, and I think it's best summarized by QB at like the very end. Actually knowing all the bullshit around it, it doesn't really do you much. It's like, oh yeah, this just prologues the inevitable is kind of stupid. You should just become witches and shit. Like, what QB summarizes kind of best in that part. But I'm mostly going to focus on characters, and there's like one little plot hole that I'm going to have to mention because that's probably where a lot of its huge problems come from. Certain characters in particular, the abundance of characters that don't need to really be there, and characters that actually should have been there a lot more. Getting into it, one of the absolute sore spots that I despise, Alina Gray. She's the green-haired one, the one who, you know, speaks intermittent English, you know, artsy, whatever. She is literally just a basic villain, which I don't think fits the Madoka series very well. We have very human characters, and we get to tackle very human emotions in this series. This just kind of fails on that aspect, absolutely fumbles it super hard by making an extremely unrealistic character who feels like a fictional character and, you know, had a big role at the end, pretty much like the major villain. The goal was to turn everyone into a magical girl to make everyone know the suffering or something. Like, it's so bad. That's literally it. That's not me. I rewatched this entire show to remember everything about it. Her motivation was that. That's it. She wanted to just turn everyone into a magical girl. Other moments she shows up, she just kind of ruins shit. I'm gonna lie. Cut her, scrap her, or completely rewrite her in a different way. She was a problem character in the show. Another problem shows up in the first season when they're developing some of the girls who kind of didn't need to be there, but were there, with Sana, who I think has a pretty good story, pretty depressing with the endless solitude stuff and her like wishing to be invisible. Like, that's some crazy shit that happened there. But I think it would have been stronger if the Urasa, the endless solitude, pretty much didn't have a timer put on them and was able to convince Sana. I think that moment would have been extremely sweet, but it's definitely butchered by the fact that Alina Gray shows up, uses her corruption magic, and is like, well, I'm going to be corrupted, so I'm dead. You have to leave no matter what. So we can have our cute goodbye right now, but I didn't fully convince you. You kind of just had to go with it because there's a timer put on it now. So moments like that. Alina Gray, every single thing. She sucks. Terrible character. Hated her. And then going into just other characters that didn't need to be there. Some of the introductions in the first season, those characters really bring nothing to the table later and don't bring an impact to the overall story. Sana, she's kind of just there, existing past, you know, the events. Who's the delinquent girl with the hammer? I'm forgetting her name. Whatever, her. She didn't need to be there either. I'm sorry, I thought she was lovely and cute. But God, she did not need to be there either. So many characters did not need to be there. The main character, I think, very good. Has some good setup, like what happened to my little sister Yui. And, you know, Kiwi hits like, maybe some wish probably altered the memory. And then it's like, okay, what the hell did she get involved with that memory altering happened to everyone, you know? That's a good conspiracy. Pulls the plot together, and its conclusions with Yui at the end, her just not like coming back to life and being like, yeah, it's all hunky-dory. I kind of like that. There was good parts with that. Yachino as well, the next up girl on the main roster. Her dilemma, her dynamic of wishing to survive and then feeling that, oh, because I wish to survive, everyone else around me just dies. I think the whole dilemma with Iroha just being like, no, that's not the case. I think those were good elements. We get into the other girls from the hospital. I do think they are okay, but there's a huge gaping problem. Well, two. One, they don't explain why everyone's memory gets wiped. It would have been nice if it was made into somebody's wish and it made sense, but it kind of just happened where everyone just lost their memory, but Nemu? Yeah, Nemu had it. Nemu just knowed everything. Everyone else had their memory erased of all that happened. That's kind of unexplained. It just happens and you just have to accept it. Okay, sure. If that was the only problem with the show, I would let it be. But the fact that the whole story progression starts from the fact that everyone's memories gets erased. Because Toka, the other girl, since her memories are erased, her plan just completely changes on how to save magical girls. Nemu is like scared at the very start, like what's happening? And then like just goes along with it. It's like, okay, she goes along with it, sure. Is there a solution that would have resolved this quickly? Oh wait, how did everyone get their memories in the final season? How did we get that backstory? Oh wait, she just used her power to give the memories of what happened to the one who lost it and came completely deranged, plus Iroha. Magical girls generally know their magic when they become magical girls. Like, they literally use it once they become magical girls. They wish it, boom, they're starting to use their power immediately, right? There's no like, oh, I didn't know it yet, and, you know, now that I know it, you know, I was just too far in. Like, no. You had this power to make everyone remember everything, and you just didn't do it. You were like, oh god, everything is going to shit. What if I had a perfect power that could stop all of this conflict in the show? So yeah, that is a huge gaping flaw. If they wrote that out, if that wasn't just a big blunder in writing, I think it'd be okay with them being villains. I think if both the girls lost their memory, and they have now this new thing of like this strange plan to save magical girls with Doppel system. Hey, you know, that would make sense. But again, so many problems. I do want to compliment the show for one thing. It had a lot of potential with one character. They fucked it up. It looked really good at the very end, and I'm like, oh my god, you should have done more of this. This was so good. The entire show kind of revolved around one of the concepts that was brought up in Madoka, and the fact that, oh yeah, your wish grants you a certain amount of power. Like, they keep telling Madoka, it's like, oh yeah, if you became a magical girl, you could just slay anything. You would be so powerful because, you know, the wish has so much of a grand scale on the universe. That is a pretty cool thing to know. So there's strength differences between magic girls. It isn't like an equal fair and square thing. If someone wishes for something more grand, they'll just end up being more powerful. And if your wish is deemed as something minuscule, you're just going to be weaker, which is kind of cruel. It means, oh, did you wish for something like a little, just like, I want a Krispy Kreme donut. You wish that, and then you're like the weakest magical girl ever. It's like, oh fuck. No, you wish for the Krispy Kreme donut, and now you are one of the weakest magical girls ever because your wish didn't have a grand scale on the universe. That's a kind of cool concept that kind of Madoka brings up, and this show is like, we could go into that, and having this whole cult of weak magical girls being like, I'm tired. We didn't know about this shit, and we're weak as fuck. We need to gather together so we just don't die. I think that is a cool-ass concept. And there's a character who does extremely well with this concept. If you don't know what character I'm talking about Kuroe. Kuroe would have saved this show. She would have been the Homura for this show if they did more with her, knew her potential, and rolled with it. She shows up in the first episode of the first season and then disappears until the second season. I think immediately Kuroe should have stayed with Iroha, the main character, so she could be development. Be in the house with the rest of the characters. Having one more important character to the whole developing story would be better than, three who kind of are just tagging along because, friendship and stuff. It would have been great as well because they got taken to the Urusa where they had the whole cult meeting, and it's like, yeah, we'll tell you about all the truths of this stuff. Four of them go. Yacht, stays. Iroha, not convinced, is like, but gets split from the group. And, shit happens with her, as you already know. But the three others, one of them couldn't get convinced. They just brainwashed that bitch. The two others, they kind of convinced one. It's like, killing witches? Sure. Yeah, killing witches. All right, cool. And then Sana just follows along. Sana just follows the leader. The reasons why they converted over to the Wings of Magius was dumb. But Kuroe, as she did convert off screen to the Wings of Magius, I think it would have been a great moment with her showing doubt throughout the entire first season of, these Wings of Magius, they may be on to something. And then she goes to this and then turns and becomes a Wing of Magius like we see. Have that on-screen time, it would have been perfect. Develop her character, develop that other character who they only really start getting at the end. The ghost of the haunting of that one girl that she did not save. The one person she could not extend, the warm passion Iroha would extend to her. Develop her a little more. Give us little hints to that. Really go with that element. Because I think at the very end, the fact that she's weak, she knows she's weak, she wants to stop all this bullshit. She makes sense to convert to Wings of Magius, so I like the fact that she converted. She deserved screen time though. She shouldn't have just disappeared. Especially when, at the very end, in like that third episode of the final season, we have that really great moment where there's a ultimate dilemma that really destroys the main character and makes them think, like, wait a minute, I couldn't do shit. I think it is a great dilemma of the fact that Iroha is just, a kind, just loving person that's just like, I want to save everybody, try to give this kindness to everyone. But the fact that it actually hurts Kuroe, and no matter what, just the presence of Iroha just corrupts Kuroe because it just reminds her of a person that she could not be. I think that is an amazing dynamic. Absolutely great. Have this development. Have Iroha and Kuroe constantly together so we get development of this. We get to know into Kuroe's dark secrets. And then it's really revealed here. I think this would have been an amazing moment that could honestly be on equal par to the dilemma and dynamic between Madoka and Homura, but it just doesn't go into it that far. There's just simply not enough screen time for Kuroe at the very end of the day. There was enough that I was like, holy god, they had something here. I was absolutely impressed with the idea they had for her story, but they didn't do enough for it. I think Magica Record takes away from its own original characters more than anything. A lot of them just did not need to be there. They should have focused on just more of them. I think, you know, Yachino and her group before and after, kind of important dilemma for her. So kind of keep those ones there. But there was a lot of problems with the series. The ending's hard to watch because it's such a butchering of, I think, some really cool stuff that was happening, some really cool ideas that were going on, at least within season 1 and season 2. And of course, it still has amazing animation. It does have the Madoka charm at the end of the day. It isn't the perfect, you know, add-on to the series. If you just want to watch Madoka again, just watch Madoka again. It's going to be better. Hey, you know, if you want to try something new that still has that bit of charm to it, I still could suggest watching this series. It's problematic. It has its flaws. I still think it was quite a fun watch. I was still able to rewatch it just for the fact of making this video and knowing more of the elements of it. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video and just me ranting about Magica Record for the second time now. But thank you for watching. Sorry I fell off, and hopefully you'll see me in the next video. That will come out soon. I can't, no promises. Bye-bye.